So what's happening?
Nothing.
So it is said that nobody can give you the teaching or give you the truth, because what they're giving you, they can take away from you. They're giving you, you can lose. They can give you a box full of diamonds, rubies. Somehow you forget where you hid it. It can happen. Whatever somebody can give you, you can lose. Or they can give you the wrong thing or take it back. Right? Makes sense. So therefore, there is nothing that anybody can give you. And whatever is given to you can be taken away from you, right? So we're okay with that because we know it's given, and therefore we understand that it can be taken. That's the nature of giving and taking, yes? So we say, okay, we have it now. Maybe tomorrow it's taken, right? Because that's the nature of the giving and the taking. So once we've understood that, then our interest is not in the giving and the taking, because that's the market. Right? We're not interested in the giving and the taking. We understand that there is giving and taking. Yes? You say, okay, there is giving and taking. No problem. So now we are talking about, maybe we're interested in, and also talking about that which is not taken, which cannot be taken, or it cannot be given. It's not given, it cannot be given. It cannot be taken, it cannot be given. Right? Either we are completely in some deluded land speaking rubbish, or we are speaking truth. There isn't in between. There isn't a half truth. It's half true. Is there truth or not truth? So I hope we are talking truth, yes? So what comes goes. What comes goes. If you come here, whatever comes here goes. If something, you win something, you get it, you're very happy. At some point it goes. All your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions, they come, they go. They go, others come, and they go. But when we want that which comes and goes, not to come or not to go, then we are playing the impossible game. We want the weather to change. We want the rain to stop. We want it to snow, or so we do the run dance, the sun dance, or the rain dance. And then it rains. We say, "Oh, thank you, God, it rained." So we are looking. We are looking. So when we are looking, we may find, we may not find. When we find, we're very happy because we found what we're looking for. But you have to be ready. You have to understand that what you find, sooner or later you will lose. Because it's found, therefore it's bound to be lost. But we cannot deny that we are looking. We are looking. So maybe we are looking for something that cannot be found. So therefore it's a looking without looking. Yes? It's a looking that has no object. Because we understand that we're not looking for an object. If we're looking for an object, then we know it's going to be lost. So it makes no sense. So we are looking without an object. When we're looking without an object, no subject. Because the object and the subject arise together, right? I want this, you want that. When there isn't an object, there isn't a subject. So it's a looking without a looking, but it's looking without an object, without a looker. So there is a looking that's without a looker, without a looked at, without a sought after, and therefore it's a looking without looking. So if you are looking without looking, then you are looking without time. There is no time. Because whatever you will find tomorrow. Whatever you lost, something you found yesterday, you're losing it today. If you find something now, in the complete now, in the absolute now, that means you and what you found are one. If you and what you found are one, that means you found. Finding means that I and what I'm looking for are one. Not finding means that I and what I'm looking for are separate, are two. But finding means I and what I'm looking for are one. If I and what I'm looking for are one, therefore there is no time, right? There is no time between I and that I found, that I found. So finding means zero time, means no time. When we find something, there is no time. When there is no time, it means now. Means now, not now in time, now that is eternity. Now that has no time. There is a now that is in time, meaning it's zero time, and there is now that is zero equal infinity time. Zero equal infinity means eternity. That is the true now. The true now is not zero time, it's zero infinity time. Zero infinity as one. Zero and infinity are one. So therefore, what I'm looking for and the I that is looking, what I'm looking for and which is the object, and the I that is looking, are one in eternity. One in zero equal eternity, yes? So it's a search without searching, without searching. It's a search without the searching. So it's not a search. So in truth, there is no search. There is no seeking. There is no looking. There is no finding. There is no losing. There is no forgetting. There is no remembering. There is no coming and there is no going. So to understand that, you have to let go of all your beliefs, all your ideas, all your notions, all your images about yourself, about spirituality, all the scriptures that you've read, everything that you know, everything that you imagine, everything that you feel, everything that you can conceive, you completely let it go. Letting go means you let go of the imaginary illusion that it is not gone. Letting go means realizing that in fact there is nothing to let go of and there is no one to let go of anything because it's already gone. There is nothing to let go of, in fact. All your holdings are imaginary holdings, yeah? So it's an imagination. It's a dream holding, dream grasping. Yes. And so you just say, yes, okay, you say yes. I don't understand, but I say yes. I don't get it, but I say yes, right? I don't get it, but I say yes. So we say yes, we don't get it, but we say yes, and we don't need to get it, yes? We say, okay, I say yes, so you get me, okay? You figure it out, you, universe, figure it out. I just say yes. So you're saying yes to grace, you're saying yes to the Dharma, you're saying yes to the wisdom that is cosmic, that is universal wisdom, that is shining throughout this entire space. So you invite it. In this invitation, you don't know what you're inviting, and you don't know what you are. You don't know what you are because, in fact, all your knowledge about what you are is knowledge about images and ideas about yourself. And the ideas about yourself, the images and the ideas about yourself are just images and ideas about yourself. They are not what you are. You cannot be an image or a bunch of images. That would be a joke. Because in deep sleep, all these images are gone. Or even now, in this very moment, these images are gone. There are no images right now. Boom. What are you? Something else. It's nameless, right? It's nameless. We cannot name it. Like John, we cannot. You can name the body, you can name this table, you can name this computer, but you cannot name that. That what I am, that remains. That has no form, no shape, it is undeniable, right? You cannot deny that precedes the name, that precedes the form, that has no name and no form. You cannot attach a coat to a absent coat hanger. Coat hanger. There's no coat hanger to that right now is. Yes, that now is. There is a coat hanger to the body, so we hang a shirt, then we hang a sweater, then we hang a pair of pants, blah blah. That's the body. But the body is something you perceive. Huh? You perceive the body. Perceive. Most of the time, you don't even perceive it. You're too busy looking at the birds, the beautiful birds, and the bird feeder. But when you're looking at the body, you're looking at something you're perceiving, feeling, the sensation, perception, right? So what you perceive, you're not, because you could not be both the perceiver and the perceived. Either you're the perceiver or the perceived. If you are the perceived, then you are all that is perceived. So we're okay with that, because all that is perceived, we cannot deny it. We cannot deny this perception. We cannot deny that it is, nor can we deny that perceives. We cannot deny the perception. We cannot deny that perceives. They're both right there. But we cannot assert a distance between them, right? Because what would be the distance between the perceiver and the perceived if it's not a thought? If a thought is absent. When a thought is absent, that's when there is pure perception. Why go to impure perceptions? Why go to La La Land? We just stay with reality, truth, meaning pure perception, meaning that perceives is undeniable and that is perceived is undeniable, right? But we cannot ascertain a distance, right? Because a distance will arise as a thought, and then the thought will dissolve. What happened to the distance? It's all dissolved. Right? So if you say you are that you perceive, then yes, you are all that perceive. And that you don't perceive. Because either that you do not perceive exists or does not exist. If it exists, therefore it has a reality in the now. Right? That does not achieve the reality in the now. And if it has a reality in the now, you and the now are not apart.
Okay, just a question. You said, I am all that I perceive.
Yes. And that you do not perceive. Because if that you do not perceive is real, that's option A, therefore it has reality in the now. And if it has reality in the now, I am the now. There is no other now but now. You cannot take a snippet out of the now and say, okay, that part is not now. Or the other option is that you do not perceive does not exist. And if it does not exist, then what are we talking about? So I leave myself open to that. See, I don't care if it exists or it does not exist. I am all of it. Why? Because the I means the eternity of presence. The eternity of now is not in bits and pieces. You cannot divide it. So one or the other. Either you are that, the reality that perceives, and not what is perceived. Not anything specific. Or you are that perceives and all that is perceived.
Could I be the background on which all of this is perceived?
Yes.
But then the background is still an object in a sense.
No, because an object has a space, has time and time and space dimensions. For example, this object exists in a space, it's a visual space. Yes? That's an object. Another object, for example, a thought of breakfast this morning, right? Exists in time this morning, which is also a space. There is a time space and the physical space. But the background, in what spaces it exists? In what time or physical spaces it exists? None. None. So it's not an object. The reality of consciousness is not an object. meaning it has no time and space dimension. It has no beginning and no ending, you see. Breakfast started at 8:15, ended at 9. It has a time dimension. This bottle of water has a space dimension from this point to that point. Visual field. Yes? But to the background, by the background referring to the reality of consciousness, it's actually, I don't refer to it as a background, I refer to it as a source or as a substance. Because, but anyways, it's okay, it's semantic. So it's a non-phenomenal. And what is non-phenomenal is not an object, you see. So the background, it has no perceiver to it. You can perceive a phenomenal form, which are relationships between various forms. For example, this body-mind, via its visual cortex, is a form, and this bottle is a form. So there is a relationship between two forms, which is the seeing, the visual seeing. We can also take a camera, we take a photo of the bottle. That would be, the photo will be the proof of the relationship between the camera and the bottle. Your perception is the proof of the relationship of the body-mind with the bottle. So there are relationships between objects, but there is no relationship between the background and objects, because the background is not a physical form. Consciousness is not a physical form. Therefore, it has no relationship with objects. A good example of that is in your night dreams. A good example of that is in your night dreams. In your night dreams, there are forms that arise. There are forms that arise. But these forms, actually, I take back that example. It's not a good example for what I'm trying to point to. So there are no relationships when it comes to the non-phenomenal. In other words, consciousness has no relationships. Body-minds have relationships. People have relationships. Dogs and snakes and lizards. There's a relationship between the sun shining and the water evaporating or the mist above the lake. Is that how it works? Or it dissolves the mist. The sun dissolves the mist. There is a relationship between objects, but consciousness has no relationships. So when you say, I'm having a relationship, it's a misnomer, because you're referring to the body, which is okay. I mean, we have no issue with saying I have a relationship. I'm not just trying to change our lingo. I'm trying to point to some understanding. When you say I'm having a relationship, you're basically referring to the body-mind. Yes? Body-mind. The body-mind is in constant relationship. We're in relationship with oxygen, we're in relationship with this chair right now, we're in relationship with our thoughts, etc. There are infinite relationships going on within the body and the surrounding. Yes? The breath. Yes? The oxygenation of the body-mind. Yes? That's a relationship of the breath with the body. Yes? So when you say I'm having a relationship, you're referring to the body-mind. But there is the I of consciousness that has no relationships. Yeah? So primarily, you have no relationships. And then you are witnessing relationships. You are witnessing relationships. Anyways, I spoke enough. It's best that you ask questions. Maybe it's not interesting to you. But it's interesting. Yes. If you stop witnessing the relationship and you imagine yourself that you are in the relationship, when you imagine yourself that you are in the relationship,
Then
when you imagine yourself in the relationship, you are in the relationship, you in the relationship, you're no longer witnessing it. You're feeling. You're in the emotions.
you're in the mind and the emotion.
You're in the emotions. Yes. And but you are in the negative emotions because the moment you imagine that you are in the relationship, you have personalized yourself. You have taken the self as the body mind. And because the body mind has a mortality, because the body mind is in time and space, you will experience yourself in time and space. And you will experience anxiety, you will experience aloneness, you will experience regret, you will experience sorrow, you will experience desires and disappointments as an entity, as a body mind form. You will experience that. You will actually feel that. That would be your experience. So you're not experiencing the relationship when you are in the relationship. So you are not experiencing the relation. You're not witnessing the relationship when you are in the relationship. You follow? You follow? So how to be in a relationship without being in the relationship? How to relate without being in the relationship?
No, I was going to ask you a question there. Little children and like grandchildren, there's a special relationship. Realize, I agree with you what you said, there's no relationship. The family, you see little grandchildren, there's something special about it. It's kind of a bond that you're unconscious of.
Yes. Yes, there is a bond. I mean, that, there is a bond between us. There is a bond actually, even not with your grandchildren. You could see a child and feel a bond. You could see somebody walking down the street and feel a bond. You could see a dog, you could see a lizard or a snail and feel a bond, feel something, because there is a connection. The entire realm, the entire manifest realm is one realm. It's bonded already. So it's normal to feel a bond. What is not normal is I feel a bond for my son, but I don't feel a bond for your son. Your son can be, and do I care about your son? I care about my son or about my grandson, whatever. Now it's normal for you to be feeling the bond for your grandson because that's what's arising in your space, and this is what's given to you. So you're celebrating that. But of course, the bond that you are celebrating with your grandson is just a sample of the bond that you feel for everybody and everyone and everybody. But it's just been given to you to celebrate that bond and to express that bond and to live that bond and to rejoice in that bond with your grandson. And maybe sometimes you're at the department store and you see a child that's just there and you say hello, and this child smiles at you. At that moment, you're also celebrating the same bond with another child in the department store, that somehow the universe brought you together in the same aisle, you see? And you looked at the child and the child looked at you.
But still it's difficult with family. It's difficult with one's mother to not make one's mother or one's father or
not make them what?
Make them quote unquote special, I guess.
It is difficult to make them special?
It's difficult to not make them
special.
To
not make them special.
They're not like a lizard, they're not like a tree.
You don't need to don't make them not special. You keep them special. Keep them special. Keep them special because they're very special. They're the people you're living with. You say you're not living with the lizard, right? It's normal to have that that sort of let's say intensity of specialness with your family because they're close to you. But it could be, there are some people who have pets that are lizards. And there are people who have pets that are lizards. And they're
snakes. I have a lizard.
Yeah, and that lizard is very special for them, you see. So it's not an issue that you don't feel something special for the lizard because that's not what's unfolding for you. But maybe your grandchild in 2 or 3 years they may have a lizard. They may want a lizard, and they may have a special bond with a lizard. What I'm saying is that bond there's one quality to that bond, which is love, you see. And love, we express it in so many. We actually express it whenever we're not in any negative emotion. Whenever we're not in the personal self, there is love. But it's very rare that we're not in the personal self because although there are flare-ups of the negative emotions, even when there aren't flare-ups of the negative emotions, even when there aren't, there is still a sense of me in the space, you know. There is still something that's there behind the curtain in a way, you see. And so the thing is, what is it that's behind the curtain? What is it that's behind the curtain? That's a good question. Well, I feel like there's something, I feel like there's something that I need to protect, you see. There's something I need to protect. Yeah, we all feel that there's something in one way or the other. Maybe not now, but I don't know, tomorrow, whatever, something we need to protect.
Pay attention to the man behind.
Pay attention to the man behind the curtain. We need to pay attention to the man, what's behind the curtain. There's something we need to protect. So we say, okay, you know, that's valid. It's valid for us to be protecting if there is, you know, there is something that we need to protect. So what is it? What is it? So we look at that.
It's the innocence.
The innocence.
It's the innocence, and I think it reflects on my own innocence.
You need to protect your innocence.
No, not talking protection. What is it that makes it work? What is it? It can be with any. It can be an animal, or it can be. The innocence. And I think wow, it's that.
Yeah.
You were probably a bit, I don't know.
Yeah. Because innocence, when you say my innocence, it's really beautiful because you're talking about innocence of consciousness. Because, you know, as people, we're not that innocent. When I was a little boy, I played a lot of tricks with a lot of people. You know, I wanted to take their marbles. You know, I figured a way of getting their marbles and take marbles. The reason why innocence is the body mind. The innocence belongs to consciousness. You see, that's what's beautiful. It's the innocence of being, the innocence of presence, the innocence that we share right now, which is the innocence of before the me wanting this and that, you see? And that is never lost. That's there. I mean, it may be covered with thoughts and concerns and worries, blah, blah, right? But it's, how can you lose that doesn't belong to the body mind? It belongs to consciousness. You see? It belongs to consciousness. And consciousness doesn't lose or gain. It is. And innocence and freshness and creativity and love and beauty are qualities of consciousness. Freedom and empathy and compassion and creativity and wisdom, yes, are qualities of consciousness, right? So that the you doesn't belong to you, it belongs to consciousness. The you, if that you is consciousness, is never lost because you are that. And the body mind never owned that. The body mind cannot own innocent, cannot be innocent, because the body mind, we all know, is a bit of a trickster. Sometimes I like your car, you know. Maybe I can have a car like yours. You know, at the body mind level, it's not so innocent. Yes? You know, I mean, we try to, we're getting better, we try to improve, but still, there is. Until the body-mind has aligned itself with truth, you know, via the recognition, because the body-mind aligns itself. Either it is leading us or it is following us. When the body-mind is leading us, meaning we are being led by the senses and by the thoughts. Right? Oh, this is beautiful. The thought is, I want it. When I say when we are led by the body-mind, meaning we are led by the belief, primarily the belief that I am a man, that I'm a person, that I'm a woman, that I'm a body-mind. That is the primary belief. Because when the senses see something very beautiful, what is it that says, I want that? There has to be something besides the senses that says, I want that. Or I want more of that. Right? When we see somebody having something, driving a beautiful car, we say, oh, they shouldn't be driving this car. We see via the senses, and then the thought arises. What is behind that perception that says, they shouldn't be driving this car, I should be driving this car? There's something, which is the I, the me belief, right? This I, this me. Me Magdi, me, the image. Because it's about images. Because in fact, what is it to have a car? It's a car parked up there, you know, in the sun or in the garage. You know? You know, I mean, who has it? It's just a clunk of, you know, something sitting in the garage, right? So it's an image that I have this car, I own this car. It has to be some sort of mentation, right? You follow? Right? Because we don't really have it. It's just sitting there. But there is a thought that says, I have it. And we feel, that's the thing, is we feel, I have it, I own this, I have that. The I is the body mind. The I is that identity, identification, which is quite different from consciousness celebrating the entire unfolding, you see. You see, you can celebrate. When you are in a celebratory mode, anything that's unfolding is being perceived from, not from the, is it better for me or not, or not good or bad for me. It's not being perceived from that perspective. It's being perceived from the openness. It's not being perceived from a contracted space. When you're not perceiving from a contracted space, everything is special. Everything has a certain je ne sais quoi to it. Everything has some mystery to it, something of interest to it.
Because there's no ownership of it, because there's no I involved.
Yeah, because there is no ownership of it, and also because whatever is appearing, no matter what it's appearing, it's referring to that which does not appear. It's referring to its reality. It's referring to its source. All that appears is referring to its source. And the source is not a me.
Right.
It's not an image. It's not an idea.
So it's when we think that it is us, ours, has anything to do with the body-mind.
Right.
That's
right. When it's referring to me, then we are feeling lonely. We're feeling depressed. We're feeling. When it's referring to me, when what is appearing When the manifestation is referring to me, it triggers the negative emotions.
Okay, I see the mistake I've been making. I've been making to get something, and that consciousness means there's nothing. That's not true. What you're saying now is that the difference is consciousness is everything.
Absolutely.
It's just the hook we get is it is not liner.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's not.
It's not.
I think I've known it in words. I've just never felt it. I feel the difference now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. When you're experiencing from a personal reference point of view, from a personal reference, everything that you experience has within it a judgment, has within it a measurement, has within it an evaluation, and therefore has in it some negative emotion.
Right. Yeah.
Because if you are happy because you got it, that means there is the unhappiness of losing it, possibly. The potential of losing it is there. The flip side of the coin is there.
Yeah. Duality.
Is there. You're feeling happy because I got it, but within that happiness, because it's dependent on an object and on a personal experience, there is the flip side that, holy cow, I hope I can hold on to it. You see? And we live our life like that. I mean, we live our precious, golden, God-given life like that every freaking day, right?
Yeah.
Right? Personal. And we say, oh, he's doing that. Oh, she's doing that. Oh, he's doing that. But we're doing that too, you see.
It's like you're referring to the building blocks of the me.
Yeah.
The building blocks are this idea that if I get something, it'll mean something about me.
Me. About me. And we actually live our life building these blocks, but inside the block is a tower we're building, and we're inside the tower. While outside those blocks is the we don't need those blocks. It's a beautiful, beautiful prairie, beautiful orchard, beautiful, beautiful world. Is the but from when we look at it from the personal perspective, which is the I thought, it's very subtle, but it's there. Then we are building those building blocks of the me, of our jail. In fact, those building blocks are the jail, are our jail.
Yeah, I'm going to do talking about grandchildren in a sense and all that. And with my grandchildren, I say mine, but the grandchildren, what I have noticed is that it's even more so now that I'm seeking in non-duality. But it's always been there's an innocence in children,
Yes.
and yet now it's very much one could call it grace. It's like I may be the innocence in my grandchildren is I see that innocence through their eyes, I see consciousness through their eyes, and they can see me as beautiful. And then I see I see me as me. I see innocence. I see the one. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's the connection, right. And yet also then a thought will come up. Well, I won't be so beautiful when they get older because they're going to make judgments. They're going to make this. They're going to have that. They're going to have that. But that's me saying this. No, but going in the future. But that's the point is that the innocence is the real beauty of it all. It's the real. That's the real love. Yes. And
well, right. I mean, the innocence is an aspect of consciousness that is not looking to complicate what is. You see, it's just witnessing, experiencing, rejoicing, playing with the things that it can play with, and staying away from the things that burn it or bite it. It's easy. It's simple until some image start to form, somehow inherited, whether it's karmically or also via the environment. It's still the me arises, the I thought arises. The I am this person and not that person. I am not my mother. I am this and not that. I am this and not you.
Teenagers.
This is mine. Huh?
The teenage age.
Yeah. Until when that arises, the I thought arises, then there is the concern. The concern. The worry about body, because now I am this person. The worry about my future, my intelligence. The worry about the concerns will stop.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Now, so in a way, the journey is like rediscovering your innocence, in a way, or reclaiming, not rediscovering, reclaiming your innocence, the innocence of consciousness, reclaiming the freedom of consciousness, reclaiming the joy of consciousness, reclaiming the love of consciousness. It's the rejoicing quality of consciousness. You see, so and also the wisdom of consciousness, because in the contemplation, the Dharma is revealed to you. The discrimination, the viveka, the knowing what is dharmic and what is not dharmic becomes revealed to you, becomes clearer and clearer to you.
And when you say the wisdom of consciousness, you mean the wisdom of myself?
No,
Well,
there is no
consciousness.
there is no personal self. Oh,
No,
it depends what you mean by myself.
Yeah, no, meaning thinking about it as me, because I am consciousness. So there's just this one wisdom.
Yes, it's one wisdom.
Right? We said wisdom of consciousness, but I'm thinking as I grow older, I become more wise. But there is one wisdom because I am consciousness. I am consciousness. So I don't know how to say it in a different way. But I have another question as well.
Oh, wait, before I wanted just to clarify that. I said the wisdom of consciousness, and you said
That is
my consciousness or my wisdom, something to that effect. Let me just talk about that just for a minute. That what's so beautiful about consciousness is it has no limits, no borders, no own. It's not phenomenal. It cannot be named or called or perceived. So the term "my" doesn't apply to consciousness. There is no "my" to consciousness. There is the I as consciousness, but there is no owner or witness of consciousness. There is a knowingness, a self-knowingness, consciousness knowing itself. I know myself as I, but not I as a body-mind, not I as a man or as a woman or as a person. I know myself as that, the reality of the self. I mean, there are words, it's really a non-verbal knowingness. It's a silent knowingness. We express it in words such as, I know myself as that, or I know myself as the reality of presence, the reality of being, the one reality, the shining light of being, universal consciousness. So these are words, but there is no "my" to it. Okay.
Could I ask
Yes.
you another question? What about the opposite? What about crying? Now,
Crying? What about crying?
I like to hear about crying. I'm a crying baby. I've always been all my life. Now, I don't talking about crying because I didn't get the bottle of water, I didn't get an object. But I'm talking about the kind of crying that can pop up after, for example, seeing something beautiful.
Yes, yes. Well, there are various
But is
sensitivities.
that personal?
I get you. There are various sensitivities to the various bodies, body minds. So it just so happens that the body mind that's appearing to you is a body mind that has a particular sensitivity. Some have a sensitivity towards music. Others have sensitivities towards logical thinking. And others have sensitivities towards abstract thought, etc.
But is that a personal?
It is personal to the body mind, meaning it's a characteristic of that particular body mind. For example, the oak tree has a certain characteristic that it grows to be 50, 60 foot tall. A maple tree has a characteristic, for example, that grows to only be 20 foot tall. You could say, yes, this particular characteristic belongs to, is what we refer to as the maple tree or as the oak tree. So certain body minds have certain characteristics that are associated with the body mind. This does not mean they are characteristics of consciousness, because consciousness has no characteristics. So yes, you are witnessing a body mind very intimately that cries to seeing babies or seeing a beautiful sunset or listening to some music. Yeah, but so what?
You know, sometimes you experience something that touches your heart.
Oh, touches your heart.
So then you know, you can cry
Well,
as a response.
Oh, okay, because
but is that personal?
when something touches your heart, you're experiencing love. So that's how we refer to it. Touches my heart. I'm feeling the love. I mean, I'm experiencing something beyond my thinking. I'm experiencing the self. I'm experiencing an aspect of consciousness. And so this particular body mind responds by, of course, experiencing this love, and it cries. So there is the lacriminous glands. Is this what it's called? The lacriminous glands starts, to. So that is a characteristic of that particular body. So when you say it is personal, meaning
is it emotional personal? Is it emotional personal?
I understand the question. When we're referring to personal, we're referring to a personal witness, that there is a limited witness, a limited experiencer of that. What is experiencing that is not limited, has no definition. What is experiencing this perception right now, which is not a crying experience, but it's a different form of experience, is not limited, doesn't have any definition. You cannot call it a person. You can refer to it as knowingness or beingness or awareness or consciousness or witnessing, but you cannot refer to it as a person, because a person refers to a body mind. The body mind is not what perceives. The instrument is not what perceives. What perceives is beyond the instrument of perception.
What about the experience? The body experience, that is not beyond.
No, the body does not experience. I experience. Have you ever had your hand saying, hey, I'm experiencing, or have you ever had your nose saying, I'm experiencing a nosebleed? I'm experiencing the nosebleed. When I say I am putting like this, I don't mean to put this, I mean to eye consciousness. I am perceiving, I'm experiencing. It's not the body that is experiencing. Okay, well, it is 4 o'clock. As I mentioned, we are going to be together. Can you hear me on the webcast, Shiva? Tu m'entends? Okay, and yes, okay. So Diane, you are asking a question. I'm going to read Diane's question and answer it. There is frequently a reference today about post-traumatic stress disorder. Yes, PTSD. Can you give any guidance regarding how to approach this problem in a practical way in the light of your teaching about non-duality? So the first thing I can say, Diane, about PTSD is, of course, that you, whoever is experiencing this situation, needs to get professional therapy, professional help, because PTSD is quite a trauma to the body mind, and you cannot cure this sort of trauma with a non-dual teaching. you need to bring some professional therapies to this situation. Having said that, in the case where whoever is subject to the PTSD has some openness, some availability to the non-dual teaching, and that you do not know until you are in the presence of this person and explored the non-dual teaching with them. In the cases where there is an openness, then yes, the non-dual teaching can be helpful. The non-dual teaching is always, always, always helpful when there is an openness to it. But we cannot make a general statement about non-dual teaching being helpful to the post-traumatic syndrome class of people in general, or clients in general.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
It's about myself.
Uh-huh.
And I've struggled with this all my life. I've had quite a lot of psychotherapy, but it doesn't seem like there's sufficient expertise, or I don't know what it is. But anyway, I haven't been able to respond.
Okay.
But I'm very open to non-dual teaching, and I've actually been working very hard myself to try and find a way of
yes,
putting it in perspective through my,
okay,
engagement with non-duality.
yes. So that's good. So okay, so in this case, and now that it's clear that we're talking about you, the fact that you are asking this question, meaning the fact that you are here right now in this satsang, is very significant. That means there is an openness and there is an interest. So given, need to consider the following: that the PTSD is not something that you want to struggle with. You don't want to get rid of it. You don't want to try to fight it. It is a condition that is now it's a body-mind situation. There is the PTSD is the PTSD to the body-mind, and the body remembers. It has a more of a memory than thoughts. Thoughts, are more fluid. They're more passing. But there is a memory that also settles in the body that is that has a longer longevity than the thoughts or the memories. At the body level, when there is a certain expression that the body is expressing in relation to a certain memory or a certain trauma, you need to understand that at its core, this emotion is a pure sensation. Meaning that if you dissociate out of this emotion the story, the me that is happening to me, or why is this happening to me, or why did they do this to me, or why, etc. If you remove the me out of this emotion, you will find sensation. Sensation. And sensation, before a story is added onto it, is completely neutral. Even the sensation of a tremendous toothache, if you remove the story, the me story out of it, it is neutral. This does not mean it is not intense. This does not mean, I'm not saying that a small pinch or a burn are of the same intensity, but I'm saying they're both neutral. And so the challenge, I don't like the word challenge, let's say the contemplation, is to invite yourself to perceive, to contemplate, to invite the possibility that as this PTSD flare-up occurs, and it's not continuous. It can be continuous, otherwise you would not be alive. You know, the body mind cannot live constantly with PTSD. There are flare-ups.
Mm-hmm.
That whenever there is a flare-up, invite yourself to a new way of experiencing it.
Mm.
It is not your master. The body mind, no matter what arises within it, is not running the show. There is something beyond that, that is the reality of all your experiences, that is the reality of the self, that is there, present, that is untouched by that, that can look at that from a different perspective than the perspective of the me, oh my God, what's happening to me.
Mm.
Invite this quality of presence. And I'm not talking about sweeping anything under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about denying anything or negating anything or wiggling some fancy non-dual thinking into the PTSD. Not at all. I'm talking about inviting presence, which is there. Right now, in this very moment, is presence. Has no name, no age, no form. Nothing can burn it, cut it, hurt.
Mm.
It is what we refer to as I, the true I. There is only one I. There's no other I. There's only one self. There aren't two selves. At the body-mind level, there can be zillion experiences. Invite the self to be recognized, meaning I recognize the self. I recognize I as presence. And as much as possible, without bringing in any judgments, invite the story, the thinking, the personal aspect, to see it to be an add-on. PTSD, like anything else, is a temporary body-mind experience. It does not need to remain rooted in the body. It remains rooted in the body as long as the me is not examined, to be seen as an add-on. It's the illusory me. There is an illusory me that says, oh my God, this happened to me. It didn't happen to you. It happened to the body. There are all sorts of things that happen to the body. There are beatings and rapes and shootings and you name it. I mean, look at the whole world. It's not happening to you. You are the self. You are consciousness. When you imagine and you believe and you will feel that it's happened to me, then you will suffer PTSD on and on and on and on. You need to recognize what is the true self and what is the body, and allow the body to experience that. The emotions that are in the body, that are stored in the body, allow them, and invite the body to expand, because the body is not just what you imagine it to be. The body is, in fact, like consciousness, borderless, vast. There are yogas that are very helpful. Shiva, who's out here, is very would be a very good friend and very good guide. I'm sorry, Shiva, I'm not volunteering you. I'm just mentioning you. So, so that there are yogas that also facilitate when these emotions arise to not to argue with them, not to fight with them, to just feel them, to allow them to be at peace as this is arising. There is a place of peace and a place of openness and freedom that can be invited to all of this. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm glad that you are in satsang, because bringing this question to satsang is because you are in satsang. There is a new way for you that is available to you.
Mm.
For
I mean, yeah.
to come to a real ending of this. And
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, if I was to be able to choose the way towards my own, I mean, I say healing in inverted commas, it would be this way.
Yes.
And I have had so many therapists, and I just have never really felt they understood how deeply this went in me, and just haven't been able to touch it.
Yeah.
So,
well, there are therapists who, few of them, but they're very precious therapists who have also a non-dual a living understanding of non-duality that can be helpful. You're in the UK, or where are you?
I'm in Birmingham,
Okay.
Central England, and I've done some research to see if I could find a non-dual therapist.
Yes.
But it's just
yes.
I don't know where you've gone. The picture jumped, but I've always been quite lonely, and my spiritual path has been equally lonely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
You know, these experiences have obviously been part of that.
Yes.
Mm.
Everything that's unfolding for you, for all of us, is meant to be for us. Is meant to be for us. Is part of our path. So the loneliness, the PTSD, the whatever is unfolding in your life, in all of us, in all of our life, is to welcome that, to appreciate that, to not to keep spinning, you know, I'm lonely, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that, and just to just sort of be quiet for a little while. Just be quiet. Just be quiet, and it's, you know, we've been spinning our stories for so long. It's time to just be really quiet about all of it, and see what can unfold when we come from a different angle that we've been, the grooves that we've been repeating over and over and over, to be fresh in every moment, just to invite this the freshness that is the freshness of consciousness, the innocence of consciousness, the timelessness, the eternity of consciousness that is not living in time. It's not, you know, what happened next, what's tomorrow, what's yesterday, what's tomorrow, it's just complete pure freshness. Love is fresh, presence is fresh, freedom is fresh, the freshness of being. Let's welcome that. Let's be that. Let's live that. Let's embody that. Let's say yes to that, and explore that, and see, is it possible for us to be, not to carry our story, to be image free, no matter what's going on. Maybe I'm alone in a dungeon, or I'm surrounded with, I've got a big family. I tell you, sometimes I really, I wish I was in your shoes.
Well, let's just go on holiday.
God, it's like much, you know. So yeah, you're right. So just to be free of, and when something arises, whatever arises, just keep the windows and doors open. Okay, fine, something is arising. Not to bring more of the added onto the personal story. To experience what is happening from an impersonal perspective. There's nothing personal. Nothing personal. The personal is an add-on. It's an add-on. And then as soon as you add on the personal, then there is the me story, me good, me bad, me better, me worse. And that's an add-on. And it's the add-on that's unhappy.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you know, best to you, and thank you for a very, very important question. Very good question. And we meet regularly, so
yeah, I'll be back.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Well, very
so
beautiful.
much.
Okay, lovely to see you, Kate.
Okay.
Yes.
Lovely to see you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Hopefully I'll be able to come back.
Yes, lovely to see you, Kate. Okay. Yes.
What's coming up for me is the whole business of aging that, you know, is full of everything, fear, blah, blah, blah. it's all just about the body and the mind. And when you're in awareness, there's no aging.
Yes.
The ultimate cure for aging.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Because, I mean, you've got to be a body mind to have the whole thing work.
Yes. Yes. Obviously, awareness does not age. Consciousness does not age.
It's a pretty easy way out.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, we can understand that consciousness does not age, but we may still be experiencing, some identification.
Well,
let's say.
There is
So,
some identification.
Yeah. So
But it's also the answer isn't like popping a magic pill or something. The answer is remembering who I am.
you can't remember who you are because you are who you are. Whatever you
But
remember,
remembering that I'm not this separate person.
Just in this
Kind of
moment.
body.
In this moment. What is Trish? What is the body? What is in
It's
this
just a thought.
in this moment is
Just a thought.
complete
That,
freedom.
it's not me.
Yeah, it's just to rest in presence.
Yeah.
Resting in presence.
Yeah.
Presence has no time. It has no, and it's ever available.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No add-on. It's just
It's pretty simple.
right. And so when a thought arises, okay, so it takes on a little trip and a little ride, the body feels some things, etc. But it's also presence. There's also presence. So to say yes to presence, to the stillness, that peace, the peace of presence, that nobody can give us or take away from us. It is. There's no us to it. There's just that. You see. So you don't even need to remember who you are or what you are. Just come to presence. Recognize the presence that is. Of course, these are like words. You are that presence, you see. So in a way, it's recognizing itself. Because when you say recognize the presence, what is it that they can recognize the presence? There's nothing outside of it. It just is. So it has within it self-recognition. It has in it self-recognition. So we say, yes, I recognize that I recognize the self-recognition of the self, you see. And I recognize it as the self. So it's a self-recognizing, it's recognizing its own recognition, you see. And all these words are too complicated. It's simpler than that. It's just silent. It has no, all these words are too complicated for what I'm saying. Right?
It's so easy. It's so easy. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Right.
And it's happy. And it's happy.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Absolutely.
And it's joyful.
Dead.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing.
Yes. Yeah.
Why?
And there is no tomorrow to that. There is no later to that, right? There is no later, right? 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 Huh? Absolutely. Right. Yeah. God smiling onto herself. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Yes, it is. Yes. Complete ease of being, right? The ease of being. So beautiful. Has no gender, no name, no age, no coming, no going. To rest as that, resting as that. It's an inner quietude, an inner.
I hear you sort of talk about this all the time, so in a way I feel almost silly that my mind is still in this path, but it seems I'm still holding on to this notion that through manipulations, I can make my life more interesting
Mhm.
and exciting.
Mhm.
And I intuitively know that's not true.
Mhm. Well,
But
no, it's true. Through manipulation, through all sorts of, doings, you can make your life much more interesting. You could manipulate your way somehow into better job, more money, travel to Turkestan and go to Nepal and go to Hawaii. Of course, you could, but we're talking about happiness. You see, we're talking about happiness. You need to distinguish between experiences, experiencing more and more things and different things and more flashy things and going to higher peaks, visiting more cities. Some people want to hike all the peaks. I want to hike all the peaks. I have hiked 64 peaks. I have 12 more to go. I've got 8 years I have to cover 2.5 peaks a year. You see? The marathon. I've got 12 marathon. I need 14 more to, I don't know, for some. You have to distinguish between happiness that has nothing to do with experiencing this or that, or accumulation of experiences, or any experience at all. Happiness is peace, joy, freedom. Is not given or taken away. Is not dependent on what you're experiencing, or how many experiences you're having, or how great experiences you're having. It's not dependent on that. You see, that has to do more in the realm of pleasure, on the realm of thoughts, on the realm of sensations, body, mind, sensations. Because you can feel, you can go to a grand ball and, be a great dancer and be the winner, and you will feel wonderful feelings, that, will last maybe for 6 months, maybe for 5 years. But we're talking about happiness. Happiness does not depend on a feeling. Yes? Yes, so that's very important to be clear about that. Yes, that what you really love is happiness, and happiness cannot belong to anybody. If it's your happiness and not my happiness, what are you talking about? We're talking about the same thing. Happiness doesn't belong to anybody. We rejoice in happiness. We recognize happiness, and when we recognize happiness, we're recognizing love. Yes, and we're recognizing freedom, and we're recognizing beauty. And so the light starts shining, and it doesn't just shine for me, because the me is, is this box, this bubble. I want it. What more can I have? You see, that's not what we're talking about. Happiness it's not about a person. In fact, when you add on the person, you are personalizing happiness. My happiness versus your happiness. My experience versus your experience. My children versus your children. My grandchildren versus my grandchildren. My money versus your money, etc., etc., etc. And then, not just me and you, me and me, my today and my tomorrow. What if tomorrow I lose it? Me and yesterday. Oh my God, why did I get it yesterday? Or etc. It's also an internal self-flagellation. It's not just conflicts, but it's also internal. So to be clear that you can have all sorts of experiences. That's your freedom in life. You could, if you like to travel, you do your best to travel, but you don't compromise your happiness. In other words, your happiness does not depend on whether, yes, you're able to go to the big dance and be recognized or dance with the greatest dancers. Your happiness does not depend on that, but you would try to go for it because you love it. You say you love it. When you love it, do it. But if it doesn't work, no problem. It didn't work. Ended up, instead of dancing with the greatest dancer, I danced with somebody else who is not a great dancer, but he shared with me, or she shared with me, some interesting insights. That's how it works. There is a magic. There is a magic when you're living as consciousness. You think that it should go this way, and it goes that way, and then you will find, oh my God, you know, they weren't the greatest dancer, but what they shared with me really touched my heart, you know? And because it touched your heart, you were able to somehow, at some point or the other, touch somebody else's heart. And they experienced you. Oh my God, what she shared with me. You see? See how it works?
So just if there's some feedback that the people online
Uh-huh.
are not hearing very
Oh.
well. So if you can
Repeat the question.
repeat the question, or somehow they're,
Yes.
we want to know,
Yes.
we want all of it.
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. I will. Anyways, that was Holly's question about,
Manipulating experience.
yes, manipulating experiences, you know, seeking experiences. And yeah, anyways, I yeah. So, yeah, right.
So then you can say that happiness is uncaused.
So,
It's not come from any source or any outside.
okay, so the question is, that unhappiness is uncaused. It doesn't come from any.
It doesn't come from anything external.
It doesn't come from anything
Bubbles up
external.
inside
Right.
for no reason or
Yeah.
another.
Well, actually, does happiness come from inside or outside, or is it caused? Happiness doesn't come and go. You see, what comes and goes is phenomenal. You see, the weather comes and goes, the storm comes and goes, friends come and go, a partner comes and goes, money comes and goes, etc. So coming and going applies to that, to phenomenal, to what is phenomenal. Happiness is, love is, truth is, beauty is, freedom is, wisdom is. But it's not is versus isn't. It's an absolute isness. So happiness is absolute isness. Like our true nature, meaning the nature of the universe, the nature of reality, if you want to use that term, is isness, is absolute. Because there is nothing opposed to that. Either happiness is real or it's not real. If it's real, then there is no opposite to that. Because when something is relative, there is something else where the relative ends. For example, the color, or the color blue ends when the color purple starts. Yes, maybe not a good metaphor, but so in the relative realm, there are dimensions that define those phenomena. But in the noumenal realm, meaning in the realm of reality, there isn't an ending and a beginning. Where would reality end and non-reality or reality B starts? Reality in reality is either is reality or non-reality. And if it's non-reality, then non-reality is the reality. So it's one reality. Same thing with happiness. If happiness ends and something else starts, then there is happiness and non-happiness. When we're talking about happiness and non-happiness, we're talking about experiences, right? Because I'm experiencing happiness and I'm experiencing non-happiness. So there is an experiencer of happiness and non-happiness. I'm experiencing happiness, and tomorrow I'm experiencing non-happiness. So the happiness and non-happiness, meaning the opposites, always relate to an experiencer. In the absence of an experiencer, there is neither happiness nor non-happiness. And that's what we call happiness. So happiness is actually the absence of happiness and non-happiness. This is what we say, we're talking about the absolute. Happiness is an absolute. Yes, John.
It strikes me how much this comes up constantly as a real dilemma, because get fairly proficient in what I want and experiences that I want, and essentially the vague premise is by getting this, I have happiness. But the discernment and appreciation of it, which happens almost on the edge of your breath, is something that you need to know how to surf with, need to know how to go with, so that the mind doesn't intervene on the question of, well, am I happy? Or I'm thinking I'm happy. That seems to me as a kind of a crossroad where you begin to lose this really vital balance. That's kind of the mind body interference with the purely spiritual opening. That's what happens.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So Jack was talking about the thought of the mind interfering, coming on board and making distinctions between in the realm of happiness, and that's where it sort of, in a way, maybe hijacks happiness. And if I'm using my own words there, yes. It's important to notice two things. That first, when thoughts arises in relation to happiness, since we're talking about happiness, it is referring to me. It always has within it is a personal subject of happiness. It's referring to my happiness, or me being happy, or happiness in relation to a subject. So therefore, at the mind level, when thought arises, thought has objectified happiness in relation to a subject, in relation to me being the experiencer of happiness. And as soon as that happens, then now happiness has been objectified, limited, conceptualized, and is no longer absolute. It is, okay, I'm happy now if and when. And that those if and when, they change all the time. Right? Now next there is a next if and next when, and my happiness of this morning or of yesterday is down the kazoo, and I have to now figure out the next strategy and the next strategy to notice that whenever thought comes into the realm, it has an infection in it. It has a virus in it, and the virus in it is me, object, subject, and object. It is always objectifying. That's what we refer to the dual experience, the duality, which is the sense of me and the world, me in time, me and death, me and life, me and my health, etc. Me and happiness, meaning objective happiness, which in a way, you were talking about my experiences, let's say. So it's important to understand that within thought there is a virus, and within presence there is no virus, meaning the stillness, the silence, the not knowingness, not knowing. The mind always wants to know. Know meaning maintaining the me story, maintaining myself with, okay, what's next? What's next is maintaining what's next for me. And it's a small print. It's always a small print. For me. Huh?
But the question,
It's very clear. Thank you so much.
just a clarifying question.
Yes.
Just to clarify, happiness as an objective.
Yes.
Objective. That means that
As an object also, not just as an
object of the subject.
As an object and a subject. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. As an object. Yeah.
Of the subject itself.
Whenever there is an object, there is a subject.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why it is not really happiness. So the subject has to just drop.
Because there is a separation.
Then there's that.
Absolutely.
Because happiness is something that we all want.
Yes.
That's what we are looking for.
Right. We want happiness, but the thing is, in wanting happiness, we have objectified happiness, and therefore we have subjectified the wanter of the happiness. So in wanting happiness, there is a subject, there is a me, and there is happiness. And there is time. There is time and place, time and space. And so that is the dilemma. How can we, starting from a dual perspective, come to the non-dual? How can the dual come upon the non-dual. The only way for the dual to come onto the non-dual is to stop being dual. Right? Stops being dual, it becomes non-dual. Right? And how would the dual become non-dual? You have to contemplate the falsehood of the dual. You have to contemplate the falsehood of the duality. You see? You see?
Like we've got an addiction.
Well,
Just need to drop the addiction.
let's be addicted to our love for truth.
Yeah,
How about that?
switch it.
But in many ways, it's a sad story for happiness, because
Yes.
right.
Okay.
Because
Clarify.
that's what we long to be, but we cannot be happy because we objectify happiness. So we as the subject then objectify this happiness like it's something outside of us, but it's not. It's within us, and that's why I said it can come without anybody making it come. It comes inside by itself. But even that is not good enough, because it comes and it goes. So you say that happiness is, well, then what is? I mean, why would the isness itself have an objective subject side to it?
Right. Good question. Why would isness itself have a subject object to it? So, okay, it's important for us not to just have like a theoretical, conversation. The fact is that we do experience a subject and an object, right? We do experience that I'm here sitting in this chair, for example. I'm not talking about this body mind, I'm talking generically. There is a world out there, yes? Do experience that. So, and we experience a sense of isolation, of loneliness, of sense of lack and sense of need. We want to be happy, and we all experience that, more or less, okay? So we start with that, we don't deny that, we say yes to that, right? But then we ask ourselves, okay, I can pursue happiness. And in fact, I have been pursuing happiness for the last 7,000 years. And here I am again saying, what the heck's going on here?
Another pursuit.
Another pursuit. Okay, we can do that, or we can say, well, wait a minute, let's just look at what's happening. I need to take a look at what's happening. Taking a look at what is happening is crucial. There is this quality that we have of contemplation. We have that quality, not talking about thinking, but contemplation. Contemplation means being still and looking from a place of stillness. It's a God-given quality to us. Here we are, we're doing it. We're still and we're looking. Say, okay, who is it that is seeking? Just a simple question. I know that I'm seeking. Say, okay, fine, I recognize it. Let me contemplate that. If we don't apply the skills, God-given, let me use them, call them skills, of contemplation, then we're just going to continue chasing. What other option is there? Is there a third option? Anyways, if there is a third option, let me know. Right now, let me just stay with this. The second option I'm talking about is that we can contemplate. So we say, well, what is it that is seeking? What is it that is seeking, that is looking? What is it that is looking? I am looking. I am looking. So I say, okay, what is this I that is looking? Okay, we're contemplation. We're doing contemplation. What is this I that is looking? So I'm not going to ask you. I'm going to ask myself, because I am this I, and who else would be better to give me the answer than I? Because I want to know what the I is. So I ask I, what is this I that is looking? And when I ask this question, there are two things that happen. Two possibilities, but if there are other possibilities, let it be. is that the mind starts spinning. Right? It's possibility one. Second possibility, stillness. Just stillness. What is this I that is looking for happiness? There is silence. And then starts, right? Starts, what's next?
Create narratives.
What's next, right? So when the buzz arises, we continue with our contemplation. What is it that's perceiving this buzz? What is it that's perceiving? The thought. What is this thought that I'm perceiving? Either two options. I follow the thought to the next thought and the next thought and the next thought, and then now I'm like, you know, you can ride one horse, or you can ride two horses, or you ride there'll be 4 horses. You can have 15 horses, and that's how it would be. Either you are following the thoughts, right? Or you're just going to go back to the question, what is perceiving? Keep going back to what is it that's perceiving? I am perceiving this thought, right? You have to do the contemplation. I am perceiving the thought. Okay, well, what is this I that is perceiving the thought? We're back to the same question now. It's a different question. The first question is, what is it that is seeking? Remember? Hello? You remember? Yeah. Next question now is, what is it that's perceiving this thought? Which is the same question. It's I. Okay, what is this I? I ask myself, what is this I? I'm back to bzzz, or I'm back to silence. This is the contemplation. It's the contemplation of the I. And you, in time, which I know you've been doing that for a while, you're going to come to that I is no I. There is no personal self. There is just the silence, which we call awareness, the present, the aware, awake silence. It's not the silence. It's not the silence, okay? It's an awake, aware silence, right? It's a vibrant silence. It's alive silence. They're all words, okay? I know you don't know what it's a self-knowing silence, right? This is the contemplation. This silence, this stillness, this presence, this aware, awake presence has no problems. It's not seeking happiness, believe me. It is what we call happiness. You can call it anything you want. Peace, happiness. It is that. It has no place. It's not seeking anything or trying to get somewhere, or right? Yes?
Is it right to say this phrase that I operate?
Diane, I'll be right there. Okay. I'm sorry.
Is it correct to say this phrase? I operate in that silence.
Okay, is it correct to say I operate in the silence? No. No, but there is this, you could say the silence is, but even if you say the silence is, what is it that's saying that? What is it that's saying that? If there is the stillness or the silence or presence, and I am operating in the silence, then there is a duality. There is the silence, the stillness, and there is the I that is operating very harmoniously within the silence, but it's still duality. It's still duality. In fact, the I is an add-on. There is no I operating within this silence.
You use the term I am.
The silence and the I am are the same. You could say it's a silent amness. You know, words are, in the words they're all metaphoric. The entire lingo is metaphoric. but it does point to that which is beyond the mind, that which is not non-metaphoric. Diane, yes, just so your question. Okay, for the folks online, just a comment. You know, this is the first time that we're doing a combination of live satsang and online satsang, and we may in time have to tweak it, figure out how it works. But so thank you for your patience. If
Fine.
yes, if you're being. So Diane, you're right. I don't know if I can ask another question. Yes, you can. The question is it necessary from the point of view of this non-dual understanding to have a sense of purpose? Yes. From this non-dual understanding, it is important to have the sense of purpose. And the purpose is the purpose to awaken to the truth, to awaken to the reality. There is a reality to our experience, and there is our experience. And our experience is about the body-mind, about me, Magdi, you, Diane, blah, blah, my mother, my father, my past, my future, blah, blah. And there is a reality of our experience which is completely impersonal. So yes, there is a purpose, and the purpose is to wake up to the universal reality of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And to continue, or can one just enjoy awareness? Oh, beautiful. Yes, enjoy awareness and dance one's way through life. Yes, absolutely. Dance your way through life. Yes, sounds good. Without any qualms of conscious that one has no focus, purpose, goal, or aim. You know, Diane, yes, you can enjoy awareness. Yes, you can dance your way throughout life, but you will not be able to do it without the revelation of the self, without having without ignorance being dissolved.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there is the celebration and the dancing, but it's not. I like Francis Lucille, the way he once put it. He said, "You can have a party in the house and invite all your friends and have a lot of fun, but if as a teenager, but if your mom and dad are sleeping in the bedroom upstairs, you will not have that much of a fun at the party, right?" So you need to first make sure that mom and dad are not in the house. Buy them a ticket to Hawaii, let them go have their own fun so you can really have your party. So yes, similarly, we need to contemplate the belief that I am something that arises in time and space, that I am what thought says I am. We need to contemplate that belief and that feeling that I am what feelings say I am, what thoughts and feelings say I am. You need to contemplate that to get to the freedom from this belief and from this feeling. So first we contemplate, what am I truly? What is the reality of consciousness? So you come to an understanding that I am not what is perceived, that I am the invisible reality, the non-phenomenal reality that perceives, that is. So first you come to that understanding, and after that understanding and there's clarity about that, then there is all the vasanas, the feelings within the body, the traumas, the tendencies, the knots within the body mind that you also need to work with to release out of the space. So yes, there is a journey that yes will lead you to the celebration, the enjoyment of awareness, and the enjoyment of life. But you have to also do that work. Yes, you have to.
Yes. Yeah.
And in the meantime, the way you can live your life, because the question is about how to celebrate life. You can live your life as you are contemplating the self. You can live your life following the dharmic principles of perceiving others as your very self, fair, generosity, kindness, compassion, as best you can. It's not about, self-judgment or judging others, but to live dharmically alongside your contemplation of the Dharma and the teachings of emptiness. Okay.
Yep, that's great.
Yes. 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 And thank you for your question.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Any other questions online?
Magdi?
Oh, yes. Yes, Zoe. Yes, one moment.
I just said, we're just reaching 2 hours.
Oh, 2 hours here. Oh, yes. Yes.
Just so you know.
Okay. Let me, Zoe. There is no.
You said she asked if the purpose.
Oh.
Yes, your purpose. There is a purpose. There's no purpose.
Oh, okay. Okay, Zoe. Zoe, can you hold on just for 1 second? Yes, 1 moment.
Sure. Yeah.
Because,
go ahead.
So you said there is no purpose. Okay. Let me, Diane. Okay. I would like to also add, yes, and thank you for sharing that. That at the absolute level, there is no purpose.
Mm.
But you cannot speak of there is no purpose until you've realized the purpose. So whoever teaches there is no purpose is either they are just speaking absolute truth, meaning they're not speaking to any, I'm going to use that term, but I don't perceive it that way. They're not speaking to any students. They're just speaking absolute truth. And I don't speak that way, because if I say there is no purpose, then that is the absolutist teaching, which means there is no suffering, there is no misery. In fact, although there is no suffering and there is no misery, and it's all impression, we have to uproot this impression. So we are in the waking dream together to uproot the impression of misery and of unhappiness. So there is the purpose. There is a purpose of uprooting ignorance or dissolving ignorance. I like the term uprooting, although I use it, of seeing through the veils. And then we see that, in fact, yes, it was all illusion. And in fact, there was, at the absolute level, which is on real level, to clarify that there is no purpose only from the perspective of having realized the purpose. I hope I didn't confuse you by saying that, did I?
I think I understand it as an absolute truth.
Yes.
But what you're saying is we have to recognize that we share the illusion.
Yes.
And not lack compassion in the way we relate to others.
Yes, and also to apply ourselves to the contemplation of the reality of being the reality of the self. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And by living that reality, that level of awareness can arise in others.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Because there are no others. We are one. We are all one. You know.
But by living that, it brings that awareness into recognition by others and strengthens our own.
Yes, yes. And there is a teaching that there is no purpose and there is nothing. There is all illusion, and I don't teach that. That is in my opinion, the Neo-Advaita teaching, and I am careful with the friends that I converse with to warn to give a warning against this sort of understanding. It is a mind understanding, and it does not get to the core of the matter. Okay?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Yes. Zoe, you had a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got several, but I think I'll stick with this one. Okay. So first, it's my just feeling and living that the only purpose is to wake up.
Yes.
The only purpose.
Yeah.
And as you talk about living this dharmically, And in my work, working with a parent, younger people, it's becoming very clear that they are me, I am them. And but the conditioning of our society and the school structure it's like such a lie. You have to progress and you have to make good grades and all of that. And I'm just wondering, I guess maybe it's just in my living with openness with them that gets transmitted, but there's also this sense of like I'd love to tell them something that would also ease their path.
Yes, Zoe. Okay, Zoe, it's important for you to understand that. Kristen, I get your comment. It's important for you to understand, Zoe, that at the relative level, there is a progress. There are teaching the students, giving them certain skills, certain relational skills, certain technical skills, giving them an opportunity to interact with each other and so on. All of that in life, is part of the way we function, in the society. It does not affect our. It is not in contradiction with the contemplation of truth and living dharmically. You can be involved, in a certain technical field that is, very much has a lot of mind in it and a lot of people's opinions and different opinions, even some conflicts in it. And what you bring to your students is the love that blooms within you, from your contemplation and the listening, perceiving within these younger people the light of being, not uh, trying to sort of suppress them or control them. Of course, you have a curriculum to follow, so to a certain extent, uh, there are rules and regulations that need to be followed, and it's your job to enforce them. But you can enforce them out of an understanding that that's what's required for this particular purpose. But it's not about enforcing the person or treating them as as anything else than yourself, because you do also upon yourself, impose certain conditions. You wake up at a certain time to be at work on time, etc. And you're sharing, your experience with those young students. Now, in terms of wanting to teach them non-duality, even among the people who are interested in non-duality, you may find a very small percentage of the people who are interested in non-duality that are interested in fact. And then among the people who are interested in fact, you might find even a lesser number of people who can comprehend 10% of what you're sharing. So I would say that that's not really what it's about. It's about living together, playing together, loving, celebrating together as much as possible within the constraints of the educational system, which is a little bit loco. I agree with you. They just want they want the numbers. It's a number.
Yes.
And for now, you're making your living out of that. I don't know. I want to put words in your mouth, but you're in this situation, and it has its limitations, and so you do your best with it. You may even go outside of what you imagine your boundaries are. I remember I was teaching, years ago, and I was one of those, out there sort of teachers, because I had a certain way about me that went beyond the curriculum. You may find that there is room for that. I don't know. You have to sort of test it for yourself. It depends how rigid the administration is. So it's an exploration. There is no fixed answer outside of being present. Being fresh in your presence with in every moment, and just to be fresh, and to be respectful of your freedom and the freedom of others, of your reality and the reality of others, which is one reality, the reality of consciousness. You see, so yeah.
It's
one moment, Zoe.
yes. Okay.
I know we're going beyond the time, and please, I'm gonna maybe continue for a little while here, but feel free to have some tea, and very lovely to be with you. And if I don't say goodbye to you, I'm saying goodbye in my heart to all of you. And it's just gonna, and yeah, anyway, very beautiful. Right. Yes, Zoe, you were saying.
Well, I guess it's just looking at what the system says is important, and realizing that even if they were to get all A's and get this and that, what does that have to do with happiness?
Yeah, there is a karmic path, for
Okay,
one of
thank
us,
you.
and there is. This is the way. This is the path in the dream. We going through. Your karmic path is to be right now there with them in a certain way, and to be contemplating this question here in satsang. And each one of us is, has their karmic situation there, and it's part of our journey that presents to us many challenges, sometimes tremendous difficulties and painful situations, and sometimes less, who knows. It's part of the path, and everything that's unfolding is referring to that is not unfolding, is referring to that is not in the realm of the images and the experience. There is calling. That's everything that we're experiencing is referring us to that. Do we get the message? Some we get the messages in small bits and pieces. Sometimes we really get the message, and it jolts us somehow out of our orbit, and then we're in different orbit. But there are many orbits. It's the journey. So we recognize that, and we recognize that our role, our function in this journey is to shine the light, to be the light, to awaken to the light, to contemplate the light of being, to contemplate the transparency of being, to awaken to the self, to awaken to the reality of being, the transparency of being, the universality of the self, the impersonality of consciousness. And that is the greatest light that can shine into that entire space.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay, Zoe. Any other question online? Oh, okay. When did we start? Okay. Well, okay. So this was a little bit of the first time we're doing that, an experiment. We'll see how it goes. Very lovely to be with you all. Thank you very much for joining us and for your questions. And namaste. We'll see you soon. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay, Esther. Very lovely to see you all.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay,
Bye.